Are you afraid of the future collapse of Russia? Why? Because of nuclear weapons? Why aren't you afraid Russia possesses them now when they are in the hands of a mass murderer, Putin? Sometimes people are afraid of things and ideas they know nothing about. My name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine. Unfortunately, we border Russia, but fortunately I know Russia is not that great. Before we start talking about the potential collapse of Russia, let's take a closer look at the map of Russian Federation. You'd be surprised to learn that it consists of 21 national republics and more than 100 enslaved indigenous peoples. Yes, not all republics that wanted to exit the USSR managed to do so. Many of them were reshaped into national republics within Russian Federation. But what is worse, the existence of many are denied by Russian propaganda machine. We might need a lot of episodes to speak about each of these republics, so in my today's video I will concentrate on the largest and most strong one that have a long history of movements for independence. That is the Northern Caucasus, Idel-Ural, Kalmykia, Sakha and Tiva. Northern Caucasus consists of 8 republics and 21 indigenous peoples. The names of many of these republics you know, like Chechnya and Dagestan. What is more important, the region is located really far away from Moscow and it borders Azerbaijan and Georgia, with the people of which Northern Caucasians have more in common. Russia loves to erase the history of the nations it occupies, and it wants to pretend that they did not exist before Russia or they have always been a part of Russia. The region of Northern Caucasus was occupied by Russian Empire in 1864, not that long ago. This is the most densely populated region of Russian Federation with 15 million people living here. But if you ask these people, are they Russian? They will always say you, no, we are Caucasian. They speak 30 different Caucasian languages, which are very different from Russian. Most of them practice Muslim religion, and they have very different from Russian or even Slavic family lifestyle traditions. Idel-Ural is another big territory that would love to proclaim its independence from Russian Federation. They even have a very strong movement, Frre Idel-Ural movement, that is present and visible on various international meetings, including the UN. Idel-Ural territory is located between the Ural Mountains and the Volga River. Republics that belong to this region are different. Some of them are Finno-Hungarian, others are Turkic. For example, let's look attentively at Tatarstan. It is populated with 4 million people, the majority of whom are Tatars. What is more important, in 1992, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Tatarstan proclaimed its sovereignty that is based on the results of the referendum. But somehow, in the 2000, Russian Federation decided to swallow the republic. That is very different from the linguistic, traditional and religious perspective from Moscow. Always, before every of my videos, I do a research. And often I know the majority of things that I want to tell you. But this time I was so surprised that I can't wait to share with you this information. There is one republic that definitely wants and needs to be independent within the Russian Federation. Previously known as Yakutia, the Republic of Sakha is located on the far east of Russia, and it is the size of India and Argentina. I could not imagine it is possible, but the Republic of Sakha is 3.1 million square kilometers. Since the 17th century, people of Sakha suffered a lot from Russian Empire. Unfortunately, their territories are rich in gold, fur, and other mineral resources, and that sent lots of Russian occupier expeditions to their territories. Until now, many of them are mocked in Russian jokes, and this demonstrates Russist character very well. Many of indigenous peoples of Yakutia were killed, were Russified, and also introduced to alcoholism. People of Yakutia have their own language, have their own religions that are close to totem and shaman practices, and they have many resources. They have gold, they have fur, they have uranium. So remember, when Moscow boasts how rich it is, it simply loots and steals from its republics that are very distant from Kremlin, both politically, culturally, and spiritually. I am sure all of you heard about Siberia. As a Ukrainian, I have negative associations with this region because many Ukrainians were sent to labor camps in Siberia. But this is also a very strong, beautiful, naturally rich region that occupies 30% of all Russia. Siberia is known for its movements for independence. For example, in 1917, in 1918, there was a short but extremely bright period of Siberian Republic. During that short spell of Siberian independence, they had their own Siberian army and their own Siberian parliament. And even now, when various sociological services ask people there, what is your nationality, they don't say I'm Russian, they say I am Siberian. What is even more interesting, really bad events in Ukraine in 2014, the annexation and the creation of the so-called quasi-republics DNR and LNR actually inspired people of Siberia to look for the renovation of their independence. And in August of 2014, they organized a march for the Federalization of Siberia. Did you know about that? I didn't. Russia is hiding that. If you look attentively at the map of Russian Federation, and especially if you look at the traditions people share, languages they speak, religions they follow, and of course consult with normal history books, not ones written in Kremlin, you'd be surprised to see that real Russia is actually small. It is all around Moscow and St. Petersburg, and it does not have all of that resources, oil or gas. It does not have all of these territories that it boasts to control. Beautiful people of the beautiful democratic world, why do we close our eyes on the destinies of these people? Why do we concentrate on the fear of nuclear weapons possession if Russian Federation collapses, but we don't think about these nations that are under pressure, economical, political, and many of their people are sent to meat grinders in Ukraine? For example, in 2019, Udmurt professor Albert Razin committed self-immolation as a protest against the ban to practice Udmurt language in Udmurt schools. This is happening now. Russian Federation is a Frankenstein that consists of very different countries that would actually benefit from the future collapse of Russia. Let's not be afraid of that. In the comments, please let me know, why are you afraid of the collapse of Russia? Because of the potential civil war in the country, or because of uncontrolled nuclear weapons? Or maybe you think this idea is good, as I am. Let's sum it all up. Russia has no unifying ideology. Ruski Mir doctrine does not work for all who share different cultural practices, religion, language, and historical background. Russia pressures these nations, does not let them develop, evolve, and practice their traditions. It tries to Russify them and forbids learning their own languages in their own schools. Russia does not unite them, it actually separates them and sends many of ethnical non-Russians, as they say, to the front lines in Ukraine, literally to the meat grinders. All of these peoples, nations, republics, indigenous peoples were not always a part of Russian Federation. Moscow and St. Petersburg live a rich life, but what about the rest of the territory? I doubt they are satisfied with what they have. And why do you think all of these new republics will fight for nuclear weapons? Maybe they will simply sell you gas and oil for better prices.